They have to build the sales team for tomorrow, not for today.
Today, I am joined by Donna Owen, 20 years experience scaling GTM from 0 to 12 million plus ARR.
We're in a world of AI and automation, and people have forgotten to talk to each other. We've often got remote teams as well, which doesn't help. There's a very big lack of communication between the different departments.
How does a strong brand actually make a salesperson's life a lot easier?
If you think of them as light and fluffy, then they're never going to be anything but light and fluffy.
What is the one experiment that they can run in their sales process next week to see if their business is actually ready to scale? Welcome to GTM Gurus Unplugged. Today, we are talking about the messy middle of growth. Most founders can sell their first million through sheer force of will, but they eventually hit a ceiling where that stops working. To break through, you need a revenue engine and not just a founder's network. And today I am joined by Donna Owen, a fractional CRO who specializes in turning founder-led chaos into predictable, investor-ready revenue. Donna has over 20 years experience scaling GTM from 0 to 12 million plus ARR across SaaS and fintech. And she's a person founders call when they need to build a real sales process, hire their first AEs, and crucially align brand with sales to drive demand. Donna, it is great to have you on the show.
You've just reminded me that I've carved out a career for myself in the messy middle as well, which is didn't sound that attractive. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
You found a way to monetize it, making money as you go along. So it's a win. It's a win.
Yeah.
So okay, we're going to be running through like some five high-level questions, kind of just unpacking, as it were, everything you've learned over the years with the various different tech companies that you've supported along the way. We're going to be kicking off with really understanding the tactical play behind the founder to machine shift that you've been implementing, right? So obviously you've taken companies like Firefish and doubled their ACV in around 12 months. When you walk into a founder-led environment, what is the one tactical change that you make in the first 30 days to stop businesses sort of relying solely on the CEO's network and start relying on a repeatable process for growth?
Yeah, I think the first thing to mention is that there's rarely two companies that are the same. So there's always things that you need to tweak and iterate depending on where the issues lie. But I think the one thing that joins them all together is that there tends to be a lot of silos. So the most common silos, certainly at the level you're talking about, the company size you're talking about, tends to be between the revenue org and product. So they're very rarely talking to each other. And just by fixing that and building that bridge, the salespeople understanding what's being built, why, the outcomes that can deliver, and selling in a different way, just that tiny, teeny fix can usually make a lot of difference. And in the instance that you've just spoken about, where it's looking at growing a average contract value, that's a real win for product there, because often there's things on that roadmap or lots going on that salespeople are just unaware of. And it's just that making them aware of that they then feel more confident in where the product and the business is going, and they can appeal to a slightly different audience. And often that's an audience with a deeper pockets or a bigger company. So I think that's it's 30 days isn't a long time. So it's not a long time to make, it's not enough time to make massive radical changes, but it's plenty of time to look at who's talking to who and where those silos lie in the business. And just by fixing those relationships, you can start to see an immediate uptick.
And out of curiosity, like, how do you facilitate that process, right? So, if you've got a business that isn't communicating across those two teams and they are working in silo, like, obviously it sounds simple, it sounds easy, but I'm sure it isn't. So like, what is your usual process in ensuring that those two initially silo teams are then on the same page?
Yeah, I mean, it can be done. We're in a world of AI and automation, and people have forgotten to talk to each other. We've often got remote teams as well, which doesn't help. But even before that, even before we all started working remotely, there's a very big lack of communication between the different departments. Get the humans together, get them actually talking to each other. We've done a few really lovely kind of away days and things like that, where products have presented the roadmap to the sales team, and the sales team were all like, wow, we did not know this. And then you get them to talk about their own challenges and get the sales team to communicate why they're losing deals to products, so products understand what the market's saying. So just getting people talking to each other and
Right.
communicating with each other can just be the simplest and very cheap thing to do. You don't need to invest lots of money in this. I think at the moment we're
Yeah.
obsessed with, okay, what tools can we use, where can we implement AI to improve these processes? And there are plenty of those, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. There are plenty of opportunities for companies to grow at the moment by using what's available to us. But the
Mm.
particular problem that we're talking about here, which is working in silos, can be fixed without any of that. And just people getting back together again and talking to each other and understanding each other's roles and challenges and having that mutual respect as well. Because
Yeah.
something that has never changed is this kind of friction between teams.
Yeah.
So marketing to sales, sales to customer success, to product, they all think they've got the hardest job and they all think the others don't understand what they do, and they're right. So tell them.
Mm.
Tell them what you do. Tell them what the challenges are. Tell them that you're sick of losing deals because you don't have X, Y, and Z in the product.
Mm.
And if that is indeed the case. So yeah, just talking to each other is a very cheap way to fix that.
No, I love that. Remove the friction, get on the same page, and of course,
Yeah.
clarity is success, as they say. So
Yeah.
no,
And
like that. I
sometimes I
like
don't
that.
even know sometimes the sales guys don't even know the names of the
Of
people in
certain
product.
things.
They don't even know the names of the people in product. If we're talking only 30 days, then that's a short space of time, but enough time to actually fix that.
Love that. Okay, cool. So, guys, you heard it here first. All right. So, when it comes to, let's just say you got that in play, teams are no longer working in silos, as it were. They're on the same page. They're working towards the same North Star in the same direction, supporting one another. The big question, of course, around marketing as a sales enablement tool, right? Obviously, as a CRO, I know that you are a big believer in brand and marketing. Most sales leaders just obviously want more leads, but you talk about content-led demand engines, which I think is very rare to see, within the world that you operate. So, in your world, how does a strong brand actually make a salesperson's life a lot easier? How do you measure if a brand actually is selling, as it were, before an AE even picks up the phone, as it were? Like, how do you measure and track that success?
Yeah, it's a good question. And actually, I want to caveat it by saying that I've not always been this way. So I've been on this journey. So when I speak to sales leaders who absolutely don't understand demand gen or don't understand the power of marketing and are just, they try and solve their revenue problems by hiring more AEs, I am 100% empathetic to that because I've been there and I've learned this the hard way and
Mm.
put in the hard yards, and I'm a complete convert now. I my belief now, and it's backed by data and by
Mm.
success, is that companies that break through the ceiling and actually fly, and whatever that looks like for them, whether it be being acquired, whether it be getting to their investment goals, whether it just be that hyper growth that they're looking for, whatever, the ones that really make it are the ones that at some point do what I've done at some point in my career and gone, I don't think I'm doing this correctly. I need to focus on my brand,
Mhm.
my brand strategy, my brand voice, and then I need to amplify that in the market. In terms of my sales team, they are there as almost I suppose, to welcome the the noise that
Yeah.
comes from having an amazing content-led brand strategy. So the results of that won't. They will never get any ROI on that unless, in my belief, certainly in enterprise sales or when you're selling to mid-market, is that the two have to be together. I'm a
Mm.
big believer in brand, content, marketing, very high quality, but it's useless is if then the someone knocks on the door because they've seen all of this and they're super interested, and what they receive is somebody who doesn't know how to create an amazing buying experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those two things working together, if you ever wonder why are they do the same thing, these two companies, why are they flying and why are they stuck, you'll usually find that's their secret sauce, is that they have invested in quality in both demand and sales. So you don't have to pick one,
Yeah.
newsflash, you don't have to pick. And there seems to be a thing at the moment. So do I hire a sales team or do I just invest in my content strategy? It's like, how about you go for both and make
Mm.
sure that you guys aren't sat there just banging out the phones all day trying to
Mm.
bring leads, because no one ever comes to you because your brand is naff. So
Yeah.
that doesn't happen. But also the ones that come to you because you've created a fantastic brand and lots of content and lots of education and information, let's not disappoint them when they actually speak to a person and the person that isn't able to create a fantastic experience for them, and they can't see how they're going to solve their problems. So the two working together, I think, is the key thing.
No, I love that, and I know obviously that was well demonstrated, or at least it's where this journey kicked off with obviously Vincere. Do you know, walk us through that very
That's where I
briefly?
learned the lesson, I think.
What were the results? Because I know obviously you did amazing, like you did amazing things there. So like walk us through that process where you kind of came to this realization that brand can become a exceptionally big growth lever for tech companies.
The learning journey was huge. It started with a few videos, and then people are tapping me on the shoulder at networking events saying, "Wow, your marketing team is smashing it." And I'm like, "Yeah, we don't really have like a massive marketing team, but you can create this illusion of having like this huge corporate
It's
style
true.
fancy office with marketeers all having meetings and things if you get it right."
Yeah.
We just, I suppose, made our brand so individual, and whilst in many ways the product was very similar to the next product and the next product and the next product, I think the way that we positioned it was very difficult to copy,
Mm.
because we made it. I think the bravery is the key thing. We
Yep.
were not afraid to be bold,
Yeah.
and we were not afraid to try things. And do you know what? If we got a bit of a kicking for it, people quite like it in the end, because they do. They might,
It's
first of all,
different.
you might get their back up, but then you go, oh, fair play to them
Yeah.
for at least wanting to be seen differently. And it was almost like yes, I was in it and I was working in it, but part of me was almost spectating from the side and just watching this shift from, I mean, really kind of boiler room sales to demand led. And you asked for results. We were 95% inbound.
I thought it was
By
I've
the
been telling people 90%. So mate, 95%. Boy, oh boy.
by the time the business was acquired,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we were just, and that's, I'm not saying that's correct. I would always say don't go for that, because um if your inbound engine is doing very, very well, then
Yeah.
you can then still invest in your outbound engine. And we didn't really do any of that. I think we were just kind of overwhelmed by the
Yeah.
amount
Yeah.
of interest. My guys are
Mm.
doing 5 demos a day, and so we just kind of went with that and went on that journey, really. But yeah, it was both. For me, it was hard work, but also a learning experience that I've been able to take now, and I can attribute that to any success that I've had building demand engines for my
Yeah.
clients. Had I not been through that experience, I wouldn't be able to. All CEOs want me to do when I come in is fix their sales problem.
Yeah.
They want me to make their AEs better, set up HubSpot, whatever other CRMs are available, and focus on that. So I have to take their whole mindset and change it and turn it around into investing in marketing.
Yeah.
And my head is on the line, as well as my revenue,
Yeah.
when I get them to do this. And I make real work for myself, because I could just go in there for 6 months, fix their sales stuff, and off I fly to the next
Yeah.
one. But I don't believe that's the right way to
Yeah.
be. And I want to leave a business that is unrecognizable when I go to when it started.
Yeah.
And the only reason that I can do that with so much conviction is because I've been there on the journey
Yeah.
myself. So I suppose that's the biggest thing I can take from it.
No, I love that. And I think the powerful thing, I guess, to wrap up in that sense is that fundamentally, the more that you do invest in sales, the more that you do invest, for example, in cold outreach, all this stuff, I personally think it's like a tax on weak brand equity, like if you're weak brand positioning, because with Vincere, obviously you had a solid positioning, it compounded over time. And the more you guys invested in marketing, the more you guys invested in content, as it were, like it paid dividends in the long run, which meant you had to do less quote unquote selling, because by the time people were, for example, knocking on your door, they were interested, they were keen, they're ready to go. And as you said, your AEs were just creating a wonderful experience for them and
Yeah,
welcoming, as it were, all of that traffic that was coming their way. Obviously, I think since that point, things have got even, I guess, more creative, more automations, AI, as it were. Like there's more opportunity, but I think it
definitely.
does. it does show like the power of course, brand, and it can be leveraged as a strong growth lever versus just picking up the phone every single day and that being the only way of doing things. And I think in the long run, the more expensive things get, like, if you don't invest in a brand today, it's going to be
Yeah.
the biggest mistake you can make in the future. But I am biased.
Yeah, and if $50 a day is your thing,
Yeah,
fine, right? So for some businesses it works.
yeah,
So if $50 a day is your thing and you have been lucky enough to acquire very high quality outreach SDRs who are fantastic at doing that. And again, they definitely exist. And if your SDRs aren't any good, you can always use my friend Chris Whitson to make them good. So that's fine, but you still need a demand strategy. You still
yeah,
need because if that is a true cold call, that's where it'll fall down.
yeah.
But if imagine doing 50 dials a day and 40 of them know who you are
Yep,
as soon as you call.
changes everything.
Changes everything.
Yeah,
So if outbound is your thing, I'm not here to slate it. I'm a salesperson myself. I don't want to live in a world where outbound's dead. I really don't. It makes me feel as though I'm redundant as a person because
mm,
that was my thing.
mm,
We didn't, like I say, I didn't have a marketing engine until we worked together at Vincere, and I've been in
yeah,
sales long before that, and I was just dials. So I get it, and I get why some people want that as their strategy, but don't make it so hard for your guys. Like,
yeah,
give them something where every time they phone somebody, there's at least some sort of, even if it's a subconscious familiarity in that prospect's mind, makes their job so much easier and their chance to convert that call into a meeting.
yeah,
Like, don't know the stat, but I'd say it's like got to be 100 times
yeah.
more chance of them converting it to a meeting.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I guess final point on that is that it always does surprise me that you are if you are, for example, startup entering a new market, you are thinking you are able to outcompete, for example, like the whales that have been around for a long time, like the enterprise companies who have got a floor of sales. Just hit my flipping light. A floor of people, of sales reps, for example, like picking up the phone every single day. They've got tons of unlimited budget to spend on paid ads, as it were. Like
Yeah,
you're not gonna outcompete them on that front in any way or form. But what you can outcompete, and obviously Vincere was a good example of this, is being bold, being different, as it were, standing out, leveraging brand massively. And then when you get to a place where, hey, we're getting just as much exposure as you, but it's like 50% cheaper, right? And
yeah,
we're bringing in more revenue, like then you're laughing. If you obviously then accelerate that with paid ads, accelerate that with, really high-end sales reps, AEs, for example, like, yeah, it just shows the benefit of investing in brand as always. But I think
definitely.
when it comes to earlier on, obviously you mentioned about this siloing across obviously marketing, sales, CS as it were. How would you say that when you talk about customer success or making customer success more commercially minded,
Mm,
in most companies typically they're looked at as obviously a support system or a support team. Like how do you unplug that mindset or
mm.
of a CS team so the retention expansion become a predictable revenue streams inside within that department, within that team. So rather than it just being like, oh yeah, we support people who have problems as well, like you
Mm.
actually can facilitate them to drive growth.
Yeah, I think the first advice I'd give to CRO or VP of sales in that respect is, have you ever actually sat down and spoken to your CS team and found out what they want out of their role and if
Mhm.
they're actually driven to make money? Because we make an assumption that because they're CS, we go, oh, they like the fluffy stuff. They're not into the, oh, they wouldn't, if they wanted a sales role, they would have applied for a sales role. If I had a pound for every time I heard that, but I'm like, do you know what? I'm just gonna ask them
Yeah,
because, has anyone actually gone has anyone actually done that? So let's talk to these guys and find out whether they have that little nugget in them that wants to actually do deals, make money, be successful, whatever those levers are that you can
yeah,
pull. And I guarantee everyone's got at least one customer success person in their team that is an animal just trying to get out of them, but someone keeps putting this label on them to say non-commercial,
yeah,
non-commercial, non-commercial. It reminds me of, have you seen The Traitors? Where they
yeah,
sit them down at the beginning and go, "Do you want to be a traitor or do you want to be a faithful?" It's like our customer success team, we just assume they're all faithful.
yeah,
And it's like some of them are gonna go, "Do you know what? I just want to murder people." So I
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like let's just ask them the question first. And some of them might say, "Oh my goodness, I can't imagine anything worse than trying to do anything other than help my customer through
yeah,
this support issue."
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But that's fine because
Yeah.
unlike the sales teams where we used to say, do you know what? Let's have 2 killers and 2 plodders in our sales team. Like, if anyone's doing that, stop that now. A players in sales, please only.
Yeah.
But that's the model. It used to be like a couple of plodders that weren't going to leave, and then a couple that are always banging at your door for pay rises. That was how we made up our sales team. In customer success, I'd say actually that's not such a bad thing. So you could have a different kind of dynamic in your customer success team. You could have those that would not see a buying opportunity if it smacked them in the face and don't want to and just love that warm fuzzy feeling when they get
Mm.
that ticket done, right? So those guys, great, they have a place in your customer success team, and boy do we need them, right? But you're gonna have the others who actually they want to be commercial, and they're what I call silent assassins. And so I'm a strong believer, and I've tested this, so I can tell you with some conviction, that your commission plan
Mhm.
and your comp for your customer success team should rival that of your new business team. It should be pretty much the same.
Okay.
Now the metrics might look different, but the OTEs shouldn't be that much different. They should have the opportunity to make money if they want to. We might target on other things. Probably not like we used to look at just churn.
Yeah.
There's a million reasons for churn.
Yeah.
Like, let's actually give them something that they can
Yeah.
control. Let's think about Okay, let's think about things like the NRR, the net revenue retention within their customer base.
Mhm.
Because if you just look at the number, the retention for a group or cohort of customers, then if they're commercial, what they'll do, they'll look at that as one moving part.
Mhm.
So if they have a churn, right, that's non-controllable, they're then not going, oh well, I can see you later to my bonus, then I'm not going to get that. What they're going to do is they're going to go, right, okay, I've just lost 12 grand in ARR from that churn. Who's growing? Like, who's just hired somebody new? Or depending on what you do, like, where are the opportunities within my customer base where I can get that back? Because
Yeah.
if they can retain 100% NRR, the CRO shouldn't care what the logo makeup looks like. They should
Yeah.
care about the NRR number. And that customer success manager should be highly paid to retain that because, as we know, customer retention is much more valuable to the value of a business
Mhm.
than the new business
Yeah.
number.
Yeah.
So why are we not paying them for money that is actually more valuable if
I
we're coming
understand that. Yeah.
to invest
Mm.
than new business money? So looking at things if you want your customer success team to be commercial, think of them as a commercial department. Because if you think of them as light and fluffy, then they're never going to be anything but light and fluffy, and there'll be all those killers that are trying to get out.
Contributing towards that messy middle as we spoke
Oh, the
about.
messy middle, lovely.
The messy middle. I guess. Okay,
Yeah.
so I guess the behind the scenes of this messy middle, right? I appreciate you've gone through your fair number of acquisitions with the companies that you've supported, and obviously what worked with and what for, as it were. Like, what would you say? What would you say is like the hardest conversation to have with a founder about their sales team or even their tech stack as it were to get them to a place where they are investor ready? Because most of these startups, that is the end goal. They want to be acquired
Mm.
within a certain period of time, as it were. And when you're supporting them, like what are those conversations looking like?
It's not my favorite thing to do, to be honest, because it becomes very, very mechanical. And you have to realize that if it's not tracked or if there's not documentation, data, reports to forecast a piece of information, it is irrelevant. So all of the things that as we sit down as a sales team and we're like, yeah, okay, these are our committed deals. And yes, you can use a close plan to make sure that you've got the data to suggest that that deal is actually going to close. But I believe that sentiment is also important. I
Mhm.
believe that the feedback that you're getting from your prospects and the way that they talk to you and how many times they engage with you that week and all of the rest of it, it does matter. It can get when you are in, right? So it's not just about these very, very medic style
Mm.
metrics. Yes, they're important, but there's bits in between as well. those bits in between that as a team before that investment or that acquisition, as a team, we can use the bits in the middle to for us to forecast
Mhm,
how
mhm.
many deals we're going to close or what we're going to look like next year, etc., etc. An acquiring business or an investor does not give a tiny rat's ass about all of that. So if you want to gear yourself up for that journey, you have to stop caring about that too. So you only care about, if your medic is your mantra, you only care about those things. You
Yeah,
only care about your, however you do your forecasting. One of the companies do like road to number and like measure the different metrics on there. It is so mechanical and so metric driven that whilst I absolutely love that stuff, I love it when it's paired with, oh, just love this job, love getting out of bed, love doing this job, so important. But yeah, it can be very hard, and really takes the fun out of it. If
yeah,
I'm honest with you, really just takes the fun out of it. But do you know what? You've got to focus on the end goal. And if you know that you're on that journey, it's not a particularly long journey. You know, higher ARR was very quick.
very good.
Um,
Yeah,
from Vincere talking to Access to actually being acquired wasn't a particularly long time either. So if just for that time, if you've got you and your close team on that journey and you know why it sucks because you've got something that's happening which is all you wanted in the first place. So we're close now. Let's not fall at the last hurdle because we think it's horrible and yucky.
yeah,
Like, let's just do what we need to do to get this over the line, but it's not
yeah,
very nice and it's not very personable. But if that is the goal, you haven't got your due diligence and you're basically got your shit together, you will struggle so much.
yeah.
So you need to, if that's say that's a journey you want to go on in even 1 or 2 years, get your CRM done, like get it up to date, get all of your fields sorted, be absolutely regimented about adding data into the CRM. There's many, many tools that just do it for you now, like Jiminy and Gong, and lots of different forecasting tools. But just
Mhm.
make sure that if I walked into your office tomorrow and asked some very difficult questions about your numbers, that you were able to reel it off. Because if you're playing catch up on that, it's going to hurt even more.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I appreciate obviously what I've got from this, from all the things that you've shared so far, is there's definitely a strong founder relationship that you need to have, as it were, as a CRO, so you can have these hard conversations, but also as well you can really understand the mindset behind how these founders are thinking, and how that contributes towards, or sometimes limits their potential of growth. So I think with that, I guess is a way to wrap it up, for like a takeaway for everybody, something to implement, right? Like for a founder who's listening, who feels that they are currently the only person within their business who can close the deal, and they can resonate with some of the pain points that you've obviously shared. What is the one experiment that they can run in their sales process next week to see if their business is actually ready to scale beyond just them?
Yeah, I think most founders that I work with come to me with the belief that only they can sell.
Hmm.
And at that point in time, they're absolutely right. So they need to start, but I think most of them realize that there's probably people better than them out there at actually doing sales. So they don't come and go, I'm the best salesperson in the
Yeah.
world. They come and say, why am I the only one that can sell this? So what they all share is a lack of breadcrumbs, I call it. There's no documentation. They've not tracked anything. We have no idea how they win. They've just turned over 2.4 million in a year. We have no idea how they did it. So that's the first thing they need to change, is to start documenting things, even things like linking their emails to their CRM so we can actually see what happened during the course of that deal, how many
Yeah.
touch points there were and all of that. So we can start to measure that stuff. And then we take that and we make a blueprint for, okay, what does good look like?
Mm.
And when we if they want to go down the sales team route, if they're ready, if their revenue is there, um, they need to have. I'm not a massive fan of the word playbook, but you know what I mean. Take that with a pinch of
Something.
salt.
Yeah.
Um, so they need to know how they've done it. Otherwise, a decent AE is not going to touch them with a barge pole if there's no kind of, okay, well, what does success look like? In order
Yeah.
to be successful, what are the key things that I need to do? What are the key KPIs that I need to hit? Whatever. So they need to start to document that. But the main thing is, nearly 100% of them had know nothing about marketing.
Wow.
And so that is where the real education piece starts. So when I say to them, okay, can you start to actually document how you're closing deals so that when we hire a sales team, we can give them a playbook? I'm talking their language and they're like, absolutely. Right. What do we recommend? We'll get HubSpot in, we get Gong in, get what Jiminy, whatever. So we do all of that. And they're very comfortable. They're right in their comfort zone, and they keep saying things like, "Oh, I'm loving this. I'm loving this." And I'm like, "Right, okay, let's work on your demand strategy and your marketing now." And they're like, "Oh, like, they just don't believe in it to start with, and it's the ones that have just leaned into that
Yeah.
and really uncomfortably, very uncomfortably, and often gagged, with their hands behind their back and me going, "Come on." But as I said before, I can do that with the confidence that I know it works,
Yeah.
and, that's the real game changer for them. So documenting it and getting it sales ready for that quality is important.
Yeah.
It's not gonna completely change the game. The fixing marketing and getting marketing joined in with sales, so creating a proper brand, like, it's really nice exercise for founders to think about why they exist,
Yeah.
who they're for, who they're not for, all of that stuff. They very rarely have thought about that, and doing a brand, kind of revamp helps them to think about these things. It
Mm,
makes them think about it.
mm.
Because the agency will keep asking them, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know." It makes them think about their ICP, which often a lot of them have never done either, because it's just anyone that's in their little black book. So there's lots of kind of byproducts of doing this exercise. When it's done, and they have this lovely brand and content, library or whatever, focusing on how they then distribute that out, whatever's appropriate for them, is and having that evergreen, like, just switched on in the background, if you will, so that there's that constant messaging going into the market so they recognize who you are. That's the real game changer. That's where the hyper growth comes
Mm.
from, not just doing the sales stuff.
And,
I start with the sales stuff because it's more, I'm talking
resonates,
their
it
language.
lands.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was thinking as well, if you are starting with sales stuff, it means that you know the systems are in place so that when, of
Yeah.
course, the brand and the marketing
Totally.
does really pick up, as it were, like
Yeah.
it's not landing in chaos, right? Like there are systems, there's processes, there's workflows, as it were, that the team can ultimately roll out, or the play, or can run from if you've developed this playbook. But so it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, I have
Um,
a rule with my clients at the moment that they have to build the sales team for tomorrow, not for
yeah,
today.
yeah, that makes sense.
So, they need a sales team that if their inbound engine went from 0 to 60
Yeah,
tomorrow,
they can
and all
handle
of a
it.
sudden they've got super high quality leads landing, they
Yeah.
need to be able to handle them,
Yeah,
otherwise
it
what's the
makes sense.
point?
That makes sense. Listen, I've learned a lot. I'm taking some notes, man. I'm gonna have to speak to you afterwards and be like, okay, cool. We need to fix this, and this, and this. But no, honestly, thank you so much, Donna.
No,
It's
it's
definitely been a
always lovely to
masterclass.
chat to you.
Thank you. It's been a masterclass in revenue operations and, of course, why brand belongs in this CRO conversation. Obviously covered how to bridge the gap between founder-led to sales-led, and why brand is the ultimate sales enablement tool, as you've highlighted, and the biggest thing, why CS needs a commercial heart to drive, of course, expansion. So, guys, if you are a founder and you are looking to scale and you're tired of the standard stuff that you're seeing online, highly recommend linking up with Donna. I will be sure to, of course, include your LinkedIn and all that great stuff for everybody to connect with you. But yeah, always a pleasure. And on a personal note, I've worked with Donna now, and we've worked with Donna as a team for many, many years, and I can vouch for the awesomeness that she brings to most of every company that she
Ditto.
obviously joins. So, no, thank you so much, Donna. I really appreciate it, and
Cheers,
we'll
O.
catch you guys on the next episode.